Jake Miller was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. The hot liquid spilled across his uniform as he jumped up from his desk at the NORAD command center. Red lights flashed everywhere, and people were running between. "Computer screens, what's happening?" Jake shouted over the noise. "Sir, we have multiple bogies appearing in orbit," called out Sergeant Amy Rodriguez from her radar station. "They just showed up out of nowhere. No warning, no signals." Jake rushed to the main display screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. Dozens of massive objects hung in space above Earth like dark clouds. They were huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. Each ship looked like it could hold a small city inside. "How many?" Jake asked. 47 ships, sir, and they're all pointing toward Earth." Dr. Lisa Park was in her lab at NASA when her phone rang. She was studying samples from Mars when the call came in. Her hand shook as she listened to the voice on the other end. "You need to get here now," said her colleague, Dr. Tony Chen. "Something big is happening. Really big." Lisa drove as fast as she could to the main NASA building. When she arrived, the parking lot was full of military vehicles. Inside, everyone was talking at once. Scientists, military officers, and government officials filled the hallways. "Lisa, thank God you're here," Tony said when he saw her. "Look at this." He led her to a room with giant screens showing images from space. The alien ships looked like nothing she had ever seen before. They were dark metal with strange lights running along their sides. Some parts seemed to move and shift like they were alive. "Are they really alien ships?" Lisa asked. "What else could they be?" Tony replied. "They use technology we don't understand. Our satellites can't even scan them properly. There's some kind of shield around each ship." General Sam Brooks was in the Pentagon when the news reached him. He had been a soldier for 30 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. He looked at the reports coming in from around the world. Every country was seeing the same thing. The alien ships were everywhere. "Get me the president," he told his aide. "Right now." President Kate Adams was in the Oval Office when the call came in. She had been reading reports about trade agreements, normal everyday problems that seemed tiny now. General Brooks explained the situation in short, clear words. "How long do we have?" she asked. "We don't know, Madam President. They haven't tried to communicate yet." That changed 15 minutes later. Every television, radio, and computer screen on Earth suddenly showed the same image. A tall, thin creature with gray skin and large black eyes stared out at humanity. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English, though its voice sounded strange and cold. "People of Earth," the alien said. "I am Commander Vexhai of the Zephyrian Empire. Your planet has been chosen to join our great civilization. You have 72 hours to surrender your weapons and submit to our rule. If you refuse, we will take your world by force." The screen showed images of other planets, beautiful worlds, with green forests and blue oceans now covered with the same dark ships. Cities that had once been full of life were empty and silent. "These worlds chose to fight us," Commander Vexhai continued. "They are now part of our empire. Their people serve us. You can choose to surrender and live or fight and die. The choice is yours." The message ended, and normal broadcasts returned. But nothing would ever be normal again. Jake Miller stared at his computer screen in the NORAD bunker. Military bases around the world were reporting the same thing. The alien ships were just sitting there, waiting. It was like they were so sure of victory that they didn't even need to hurry. "Sir," Amy Rodriguez called out, "we're getting reports of something happening to the International Space Station." The main screen showed a live feed from the space station. One of the alien ships was moving closer to it. The ship was so large that it blocked out the sun. A beam of green light shot out from the alien vessel and hit the space station. In seconds, the entire station was gone. No explosion, no debris. It simply disappeared. "They're showing us what they can do," Jake said quietly. Dr. Lisa Park was working with teams from around the world, trying to understand what they were facing. Every scientist on Earth was sharing information now. The aliens had technology that seemed impossible. Their ships could appear and disappear instantly. Their weapons could destroy anything without leaving a trace. How do we fight something like this? Asked Dr. Maria Santos, calling in from Brazil. I don't know, Lisa admitted, but we have to try to understand them. There has to be a weakness somewhere. President Adams was in the Situation Room with her top advisors. The room was full of generals, scientists, and world leaders joining. By video call, everyone was talking about the same thing: surrender or fight. They've conquered dozens of worlds, said Secretary of Defense Robert Price. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. Maybe we should consider their offer. You mean give up without a fight? Asked General Brooks. These creatures destroyed an entire space station just to make a point. What do you think they'll do to us once we surrender? President Adams looked around the room. Every face showed fear but also determination. These people had spent their lives protecting Earth and humanity. They weren't going to give up easily. How long until the deadline? She asked. 68 hours and counting, replied her chief of staff. Then we use every minute we have, President Adams said. Call every world leader. Contact every military base. Get our scientists working together. If these aliens think humans will just roll over and surrender, they're about to learn something new. Around the world, people were watching the news and talking about what to do. Some wanted to surrender and hope for the best. Others wanted to fight even if it seemed hopeless. In small towns and big cities, humans were making the same choice their leaders were making. Jake Miller looked up at the night sky through his office window. The alien ships were visible now, blocking out stars. In less than 3 days, those ships might start destroying everything he had ever known. His wife and kids were in Colorado Springs, just a few miles away. He picked up his phone and called home. Hey, honey, he said when his wife answered. I want you to pack some bags and head to your sister's place in the mountains. Take the kids and go tonight. Jake, what's happening? The news is saying crazy things about aliens. It's all true, he said, but we're going to fight them, and I need to know you and the kids are safe. Dr. Lisa Park was still in her lab at 3 in the morning. She had been studying the few images they had of the alien ships, looking for anything that might help. Her eyes were tired, but she couldn't stop. Somewhere in all this data was the key to saving Earth. She thought about her daughter sleeping at home, about all the children on Earth who were counting on adults to protect them. The aliens might have better technology, but they didn't understand what they were really facing. They were about to learn that humans don't give up easily. The 72 hours passed like a bad dream. When the deadline came, President Adams gave her answer to the world and to the aliens watching from above. Standing in front of cameras with flags from every nation behind her, she spoke words that would be remembered forever. We will not surrender. Earth belongs to humanity and we will defend it with our lives. Commander Vex High's response came 30 minutes later. The alien ships began to move. Colonel Ben Hayes was in New York City when the first attack started. He had been moving his Marines into position around the city for 3 days, hoping the moment would never come. Now he watched from a rooftop as green beams of light shot down from the sky. The beams hit buildings and vehicles, making them disappear just like the space station had. But this time the aliens weren't just showing off, they were clearing landing zones. All units, this is Colonel Hayes, he spoke into his radio. They're coming down. Remember your training and watch each other's backs. Large sections of the alien ships opened up like giant mouths. Smaller craft poured out like angry wasps from a nest. These landing ships were fast and quiet, moving through the air without making any sound. Amy Rodriguez was now serving as Ben's communications officer. She had been transferred from NORAD to help coordinate the ground forces. She watched through binoculars as the first alien soldiers stepped onto Earth. They were tall and thin, wearing armor that seemed to be made of the same dark metal as their ships. The armor covered them completely, with only a small window showing. Their large black eyes. Each soldier carried a weapon that looked like a rifle, but it glowed with the same green energy as their ship weapons. Sir, they're setting up some kind of base in Central Park, Amy reported. About 200 soldiers, maybe more. Ben nodded. Time to see what these things are made of. All squads move in. The first battle between humans and aliens lasted only 10 minutes, but it felt like hours. The alien weapons were devastating. Their energy blasts could punch through concrete walls and metal armor like they were made of paper. Worse, the aliens themselves seemed to have personal shields that stopped most human bullets. But something strange happened during that first fight. Sergeant Joe Peters was hiding behind a destroyed car when he saw an alien soldier get confused. The creature had been shooting at Marines behind cover, but when a civilian ran out of a building screaming, the alien stopped firing. It stood there for several seconds as if it didn't know what to do. "They don't understand panic," Joe said into his radio. "When people act crazy, they freeze up." This small observation would become very important later. Dr. Lisa Park was in a secure bunker under Washington, D.C., watching the battles on screens fed from cameras around the world. The aliens were attacking major cities on every continent. London, Tokyo, Moscow, Sydney all were under attack at the same time. But something was bothering her about what she was seeing. "Tony, look at this." She called to Dr. Tony Chen, who was working at a computer nearby. "Watch how they move." On the screen, alien soldiers were advancing through the streets of Los Angeles. They moved in perfect lines, each soldier exactly the same distance from the others. When they encountered resistance, they all responded in exactly the same way. "They're like robots," Tony said. "No creativity, no adaptation." "Exactly. And look at this." Lisa switched to a camera feed from Berlin. Same formation, same tactics, same response to the same situations. They're not thinking for themselves. Dr. Tony Chen had been working on something else that was giving him hope. The military had managed to recover pieces of alien technology from destroyed landing craft. The metal was unlike anything on Earth, but it wasn't magical. "It's all based on energy manipulation," he explained to the team of scientists gathered around him. "Their shields, their weapons, even their ships. Everything runs on controlled energy fields." "Can we disrupt those fields?" asked Dr. Lisa. "Maybe. I need to run more tests, but there might be a way." Meanwhile, in cities around the world, ordinary people were discovering that aliens could be fought. Mary Walsh was a school teacher in Denver who found herself trapped in her school when the aliens landed nearby. She was hiding in a classroom with 20 children when alien soldiers entered the building. The aliens moved through the halls methodically, searching each room. Mary knew they would find her classroom soon. In desperation, she grabbed the school's fire alarm and pulled it. The loud, piercing sound echoed through the building. The alien soldiers stopped moving. Through the small window in her classroom door, Mary watched them stand perfectly still for almost a minute. Then they turned around and left the building. Loud noises confused them, she whispered to herself. This information quickly spread through emergency radio networks. All around the world, humans began using air raid sirens, fire alarms, and even car horns to confuse alien soldiers. Jake Miller was no longer at NORAD. He had volunteered to lead a special team trying to get close to the alien ships. If Dr. Chen was right about energy fields, they needed to learn more about how the alien technology worked. His team was moving through the ruins of Colorado Springs when they encountered their first alien patrol. There were 6 aliens and only 4 humans, but Jake's team had advantages the aliens didn't expect. "Remember," Jake whispered to his team, "they think like computers. Be unpredictable." When the shooting started, Jake's team didn't fight like soldiers. They acted like civilians in a panic. They ran in different directions, screamed, and hid behind whatever they could find. The aliens became confused and started making mistakes. During the confusion, Katie Foster, an engineer who had joined Jake's team, managed to get close to a damaged alien soldier. She pulled a small device from the creature's armor before the team retreated. Back at the science bunker, Dr. Chen studied Katie's prize. It was some kind of communication device, but it was still connected to the alien network. "This is incredible," he said. "We can listen to their communications. And look at this, they're having problems too." The device was picking up messages from alien commanders complaining about human tactics. The aliens were used to fighting enemies who used logical military strategies. They didn't know how to deal with humans who fought dirty, used guerrilla tactics, and refused to follow any rules. One message that Dr. Chen translated was particularly interesting. "Humans display unpredictable combat behavior. Request updated tactical protocols for dealing with irrational enemy responses. Dr. Lisa Park smiled when she heard this. They think we're irrational. They have no idea what they're really dealing with. The first week of the invasion was brutal. Many cities were badly damaged and thousands of people had died. But humanity was learning how to fight back. The aliens' technological advantages were still huge, but their weaknesses were becoming clear. They couldn't handle chaos. They couldn't adapt to new situations quickly. And most importantly, they didn't understand the one thing that made humans special: the ability to keep fighting even when logic said they should give up. As Commander Vex High studied reports from the ground battles, he began to feel something he had never experienced before during a conquest: doubt. These humans were not behaving like any enemy the Zephyrian Empire had ever faced. Perhaps, he thought, this conquest would take longer than expected. 3 months had passed since the invasion began. What the aliens thought would be a quick conquest had turned into a long, bloody war. Commander Vex High stood in his command ship, staring down at the blue planet that was giving his mighty empire so much trouble. "Report," he demanded from his second-in-command. "Our ground forces have secured only 30% of major population centers," the officer replied. "Human resistance is much stronger than predicted. They continue to use tactics our computers cannot anticipate." Vex High's large black eyes narrowed. In 300 years of conquest, no planet had held out this long. The humans were supposed to be a primitive species, barely capable of space travel, yet somehow they were making his advanced forces look foolish. On Earth, Admiral Rick Stone was planning something that would have seemed impossible 4 months ago. He was preparing to attack alien supply lines in space. Using captured alien technology and human engineering, his team had built hybrid spacecraft that could actually fight the invaders on their own ground. "The key is their overconfidence," Rick explained to his pilots at the secret base in Montana. "They don't expect us to be able to reach them in space. We're going to use that against them." Lieutenant Sarah Kim was one of the pilots chosen for the mission. She had been flying military jets for 8 years, but nothing had prepared her for the strange controls of the hybrid ships. The spacecraft combined human electronics with alien energy systems, creating something neither species had ever seen before. "It feels like flying a computer that's alive," she told her fellow pilots during training. The hybrid ships were fast and unpredictable, just like the humans who flew them. While alien ships moved in perfect formations and followed programmed patterns, the human pilots flew like they were playing a deadly game. They took risks that alien computers said were impossible, and somehow made them work. Dr. Lisa Park had made the discovery that changed everything. Working with captured alien prisoners, she had learned something incredible about their biology. The Zephyrians were not just advanced, they were too advanced for their own good. "They've been living in sterile environments for thousands of years," she explained to the gathered scientists and military leaders. "Their immune systems are incredibly weak. They can't handle the bacteria and viruses that are normal on Earth." Dr. Alex Turner, a biochemist who had joined the resistance effort, was excited by this news. "You mean we could use biological weapons against them?" "Not exactly weapons," Lisa said. "More like we could introduce them to Earth's natural ecosystem. Their bodies simply can't cope with our planet's microscopic life." This discovery led to a secret project that would determine the fate of the war. Dr. Turner began developing a special mixture of Earth bacteria that would be harmless to humans, but deadly to aliens. The plan was dangerous and difficult, but it was humanity's best chance. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Miller was preparing for the most important mission of his life. His team had been chosen to infiltrate the main alien command ship. They needed to plant Dr. Turner's biological weapon in the ship's life support system and gather intelligence about the alien fleet. "This is a one-way trip," Jake told his team. "Once we're on that ship, we might not make it back. Anyone who wants to leave can do so now." Nobody left. Tech specialist Nina Clark checked her equipment one more time. She was responsible for hacking into the alien computer systems. Unlike the aliens, who relied on logical programming, Nina was creative and unpredictable. She could think of solutions that no alien computer would ever consider. "Their security is perfect against logical attacks," she had explained earlier. But they never programmed it to handle someone who thinks outside the box. The infiltration mission began when Admiral Stone's hybrid ships attacked an alien supply convoy near the moon. The attack was designed to create confusion and draw attention away from Earth. While the aliens were focused on the space battle, Jake's team used a captured alien transport to approach the command ship. Getting inside was easier than expected. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they had minimal security around their most important vessel. They simply couldn't imagine that primitive humans would dare to attack their flagship. Once inside, Jake's team split up. Nina headed for the computer core while Jake and the others made their way to the life support systems. The alien ship was massive with corridors that stretched for miles. Everything was clean and sterile, with soft lights and perfectly controlled air. "It's like being inside a giant hospital," whispered Sergeant Joe Peters, who had joined the mission. Nina found the computer core and began her work. The alien systems were incredibly advanced, but they were also predictable. Every security measure followed logical patterns. Nina used her human creativity to find weaknesses the aliens never expected. "I'm in," she reported quietly. "And you're not going to believe what I'm seeing." The alien computers contained detailed information about their entire empire. Nina downloaded maps showing the locations of other conquered worlds, technical specifications for their ships, and most importantly, the exact size and composition of their fleet. "There are only 200 ships in the entire invasion force," she whispered into her communicator. "And this is their only command vessel." Jake felt his heart race with excitement. They had always assumed the aliens had thousands of ships in reserve. If this was their entire force, then humanity had a real chance of winning. Dr. Turner's biological weapon was a small container of modified Earth bacteria. Jake found the life support center and carefully placed the container into the air circulation system. Within hours, the bacteria would spread throughout the ship and then to other ships through their normal crew exchanges. But as Jake's team prepared to leave, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Red lights flashed, and alien voices could be heard shouting in their strange language. "They know we're here," Nina said as she finished downloading the last of the computer files. The team had to fight their way out. Alien soldiers filled the corridors, but they moved in their usual predictable patterns. Jake's team used every dirty trick they had learned over the past 3 months. They threw flashbang grenades to confuse the aliens, used smoke to block their sensors, and fought with the desperate creativity that only humans possessed. They barely made it to their transport ship. As they escaped, Jake looked back at the massive alien vessel. In a few hours, Dr. Turner's bacteria would begin its work. The mighty Zephyrian fleet was about to learn what it meant to fight a planet that had spent billions of years perfecting the art of biological warfare. Commander Vexhai received the first reports of illness among his crew 6 hours later. At first, he thought it was some kind of equipment malfunction. But as the reports spread to other ships, he began to understand the horrible truth. The humans had found a way to use their own planet as a weapon, and there was nothing his advanced technology could do to stop it. The biological weapon spread through the alien fleet faster than anyone had expected. Within 24 hours, reports came in from around the world. Alien soldiers were collapsing in the middle of battles. Their ships were drifting aimlessly in space as crews became too sick to function. Commander Vexhai watched his mighty empire crumble from his command ship. His own body was fighting the invisible enemy that these primitive humans had unleashed. His breathing was becoming difficult, and his vision was blurring. For the first time in his long life, he felt fear. "How many ships are still operational?" he asked his second-in-command, who was also clearly sick. "Only 12 ships have crews healthy enough to fight," came the weak reply. "The others are requesting immediate evacuation." Vexhai realized with growing horror that the humans had done something no enemy had ever accomplished. They had turned the Zephyrians' own advanced life support systems against them. The perfectly clean, sterile environment that had protected his people for thousands of years had become a trap. On Earth, General Brooks was coordinating what he hoped would be the final assault. The intelligence that Nina Clark had gathered from the alien computers showed exactly where to hit them. Every human military unit on the planet was preparing for Operation Thunderstrike. "This is our chance," he told the assembled commanders via video conference. "Their fleet is crippled. We hit them now with everything we have." Dr. Tony Chen and engineer Katie Foster had spent the past month preparing for this moment. They had built a network of electromagnetic pulse generators in secret locations around the world. These devices could overload alien technology, but they needed to be activated at exactly the right time. "We only get one shot at this," Katie explained to her team. "If we activate too early, they'll have time to adapt. Too late, and they might recover from the biological attack." Admiral Rick Stone's hybrid squadron was already in space, waiting for the signal. The pilots had been training non-stop, learning to use the strange combination of human and alien technology. Lieutenant Sarah Kim felt nervous but ready as she checked her instruments one final time. "Remember," Admiral Stone's voice came through the radio, "we're not just fighting for Earth today. We're fighting for every world these aliens have conquered. Today we show the galaxy that humans don't give up." Captain Jake Miller was back on the ground, leading a strike team toward the alien base in Central Park. The base had been heavily defended for months, but now most of the alien soldiers were too sick to fight effectively. This was humanity's chance to capture alien technology and maybe even some high-ranking prisoners. As Jake's team moved through the ruined streets of New York, they could see alien soldiers stumbling around like drunken people. The biological weapon was affecting their nervous systems, making it hard for them to walk or think clearly. "It's almost too easy," whispered Amy Rodriguez as they approached the alien perimeter. But Commander Vexhai had one last desperate plan. If his empire was going to fall, he would make sure Earth fell with it. From his command ship, he gave the order to activate planet-killer weapons on all remaining functional ships. "If we cannot have this world, no one can," he said through his labored breathing. The planet-killer weapons were the aliens' most powerful technology. They could crack a planet's crust and turn the surface into molten rock. 12 ships began charging their weapons, preparing to destroy Earth completely. But Dr. Chen and Katie Foster were ready. Their network of electromagnetic pulse generators had been positioned specifically to counter this threat. As soon as their satellites detected the alien weapons charging, Katie gave the order. "Activate all generators. Now." Around the world, hidden devices came to life. They sent powerful electromagnetic pulses up toward the alien ships, overloading their energy systems. The carefully controlled power that ran everything from their shields to their weapons suddenly went wild. On his command ship, Vexhai watched in despair as his planet-killer weapon overloaded and exploded. The blast tore through several decks of his ship, killing dozens of his remaining crew members. Similar explosions were happening throughout his fleet. In space, Admiral Stone saw his chance. "All ships attack now, they're defenseless!" The hybrid squadron dove toward the crippled alien vessels. Lieutenant Sarah Kim targeted the command ship's engines while other pilots focused on weapon systems and communication arrays. The aliens tried to fight back, but their remaining weapons were no match for the unpredictable human pilots. On the ground, Jake Miller's team stormed the alien base. The few aliens who could still fight were quickly overwhelmed by human soldiers who had learned to use alien weapons against their creators. Within an hour, the base was under human control. Dr. Lisa Park was in the command bunker when the reports started coming in. One by one, alien ships were either surrendering or being destroyed. The biological weapon had done its work too well. The Zephyrian invasion force was collapsing completely. "We're getting surrender signals from 17 ships," reported a communications officer. "They're asking for medical help." President Adams was faced with a choice that would define humanity's future. She could show mercy to the aliens who had tried to destroy Earth, or she could finish them off completely. Give them the medical help they need, she decided, but keep them under guard. We have questions to ask. The battle for Earth ended not with a massive explosion, but with alien soldiers laying down their weapons and asking for help. The mighty Zephyrian Empire had been defeated by bacteria too small to see, and humans too stubborn to quit. Commander Vexhai was brought to Earth as a prisoner, but also as a patient. Human doctors worked to save his life using the same medical knowledge that had created the biological weapon. As he recovered in a hospital bed, he found himself talking to Dr. Lisa Park. "How did you know our weakness?" he asked in his broken, English, we didn't, Lisa admitted. We just learned about you the same way we learn about everything else. We studied, we experimented, and we never gave up trying. Vexhai looked at her with something like respect. My people conquered 47 worlds. None of them fought like humans fight. That's because none of them were human, Lisa replied. 6 months later, President Adams stood before the United Nations to address not just Earth but the galaxy. Using alien communication technology, her words were broadcast to every world in known space. The Zephyrian Empire claimed they were bringing civilization to primitive worlds, she said. But we have learned from their prisoners that they were really bringing slavery. Today, humanity offers something different. We offer freedom. The first human starship, built using captured alien technology and human engineering, was ready to launch. Captain Jake Miller had been chosen to command it. His mission was not conquest, but liberation. Earth's children were going to the stars to free the worlds that the Zephyrians had enslaved. As the ship prepared for its first interstellar journey, Dr. Lisa Park looked up at the night sky. The same stars that had once brought invaders would now carry humanity's message of hope to the galaxy. The species that had been too stubborn to surrender was about to become the galaxy's greatest force for freedom.